Absolutely. I was always told this, that get aggressive and never back down. Never, ever back down, even if you're wrong. So this is one of the things that I learned long back. And, it's a very simple advice that somebody gave me. This was actually at a very curious conservative conference where the Swedish and the Canadian conservatives told me this. But historically, if you look at it, the conservatives tend to be the most tolerant. It's usually the left that's the most intolerant, which is why they always win militarily, but they always lose the economics, as in within the country. They lose militarily when they're fighting other countries, but they always win militarily when they're fighting inside their own country, more often than not. And the only way you can sort of outwit the left in a civil war is to turn even more violent than the left. So, it's a competition of intolerance. Let me give you an example. In the Russian Civil War, the Mensheviks were nasty. The whites, that is to say, the Tsarist supporters, were quite nasty themselves. But nobody could outmatch the brutality of the Bolsheviks. And that is why they won. You look at the Chinese Civil War, again, Chiang Kai-shek loved his people. He just wasn't willing to go to the lengths that Mao Zedong was. And if you actually read Mao Zedong's own book, he talks about creating the contradictions of purpose, which is to use civilian populations as a shield to launch attacks, so that the point of the attack is to induce such a violent reprisal from the government that the people turn against you. And he's very clear about it, that the only way to control the population is that they must fear you more than they fear the other person. Right? You see this across the board. The only way the Spanish Franquistas were able to win the Spanish Civil War was being a lot nastier than the Spanish left was. And of course, you can transpose this to the it doesn't even need to be a military confrontation. You can transpose this to the civilian sphere with, radical Muslims in this country. On one hand, they've terrorized their own population into, sort of appointing them their spokespersons. And, the lack of the rule of law in this country only helps them. In Europe, it's the rule of law that helps them. In India, it is the lack of the rule of law that helps them. Because here, the police will do nothing. Because the police are more scared of this radical mullah. And his own people are dead scared of him. So who's going to stop him? So in the end, he always wins. You can even see this in a sense with the, farmers' protest at one level. The more, you don't even need to be violent. The more unwilling and inflexible you are, the more and more negotiating tools you end up having. So it's something you can just look at historical parallels over and over again. The same reason why, Roman, Greek, and Egyptian paganism, if you want to call it that, and Syrian paganism died out in favor of Christianity and then Islam. Of course, Islam never came in contact with paganism. Christianity had already wiped out paganism by the time Islam came in. So, it's a competition of, it doesn't matter what your system of law is. A pre-industrial society like India, like ancient Egypt, like ancient Rome, with even modern India is, I would say ancient Rome probably had better law enforcement than modern India does. It will favor the intolerant. And also an advanced society, a stable society like, say, I can't call America an advanced society, but say Sweden or France or somebody like that, again, it will favor the intolerant.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.